Well, hey, John, thanks for your time today. We're looking forward to doing another conversion focused website teardown. Today, we're going to take a look at a brand that I think a lot of people will recognize. At least I recognize it, and I'm certainly not a customer, but we'll take a look at SPANX first.
Awesome.
Founded by Sarah Blakely. And the one thing I know about Sarah Blakely is she and I both went to the same university. I got my MBA from Florida State, and I believe she is an alumna from Florida State. I believe it was undergrad. So we're going to take a look at her
All right.
business today.
That's great. I've definitely heard of this. My wife is a customer, and I've been, everyone followed. If you're an entrepreneur, I think you followed Sarah's journey, right? And so, not really surprised that based on her entrepreneurial story, that this has become the company it has, which has been great to watch.
For sure. Okay, so let's just check out the homepage first, of course. I don't see any pop up. We've been on here for a few seconds, which is probably a good
Mhm.
sign. I know we usually default to commenting on those first, but I will say there are a lot of competing CTAs here. Maybe that's just the marketing guy in me, but I see a free shipping bar. I see $20 off discount promotion in the top left corner where I would normally expect to see a logo. There's a free shipping badge there too. I see get $20 off on the left side, feedback on the right hand side, a cookie policy on the bottom, and a shop now CTA button right in the center. So I don't really know what they want me to do first, which is my first observation. But what do you see when you land on this page?
That is exactly what I see. They're really pushing the free shipping, which is great for that top bar. I think we've talked about this a lot. We have run dozens of tests on that, and the top bar being free shipping is what performs best. But then they also start with free shipping where you would expect a consumer to see a brand, right? And they all consumers, if we do eye tracking, what we see is they start in that upper left hand corner. The problem right now is you're starting in the upper left hand corner and you see free shipping graphic and then get $20 off. So immediately they're going to a free shipping plus a discount. And the consumer still doesn't know, can this brand solve my pain or need? They were driven here by an ad or a recommendation or Google search, right? Something organic perhaps. But that consumer is really just trying to understand, what is Spanx selling and how can they help me? And that's not being displayed. I also don't think that the main graphic here, well, it does demonstrate the product and has some decent photography. I think following this about one product is really where the challenge begins. For me, this is a great opportunity, these massive banners, to focus on what the benefit is and what makes this brand unique. And that's not being done here. Instead, it's really all about faux leather, and that would make it seem like that's the only product they sell.
Yeah, to a net new customer, I think there's definitely some confusion there. And maybe the team at Spanx would say, but we've got all these navigation items up here that
Hmm.
clearly show that we have other things. So maybe that's a topic of discussion itself, because even under each navigation item, you have a sub menu with different types of that product category. So, there are two sides of the coin that I'm kind of experiencing here. One is you're only showing one product, and we know you sell a whole
Hmm.
bunch more. The other thing is, if we show everything we sell, maybe that can be overwhelming and folks don't know where to start. So how do you reckon with
Hmm.
those two kind of competing interests or two paths that Spanx could go down as a business and make a decision?
Yeah, I think this navigation, I would clean up a handful of things. I would get rid of shops as the first item. I don't really understand what that does for a consumer. Yeah, it's just a bunch of categories, best selling, things of that sort. I would get rid of that and bake those in under the categories of each product line. And then on the far right, I would get rid of sale. Sale items should be under each category. And then beyond that, the herstory, which I love the branding aspect of that, but I would bake that into the content of the page instead of having that here. Most consumers aren't coming here to learn about the history of the brand, right? That is something that is a great supporting tool, but generally they're not looking to do that as an initial step in the shopping journey. That might be a good reassurance step.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to get rid of the cookie bar here. Okay. We got a little
Oh,
spinning wheel. There we go. Perfect.
oh,
Let's
interesting.
see
I
what they've
thought
got
we might see a
under.
pop up.
Yeah, well, how would you feel if you did see one there? I mean, based on that kind of interaction where we're dismissing the cookie bar to then be presented with a pop-up, would kind of feel maybe a little jarring to me,
Hmm.
like not what I
Well,
would expect to happen. But any loading icon makes you think a pop up's coming, I guess, by behavioral
yeah,
historics.
that was exactly it. I thought that they might have been giving you an exit intent pop up because it
Mm.
thought you moused off of the browser. But yeah, I'm glad that we didn't see one because I think it's way too early to have a pop up, even an exit intent at this point.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what else we've got down here. So we've got a carousel here for the fan favorite styles. There's another shop now button. So these two are literally like within a stone's throw of each other. One happens to be red, which is the same CTA
Hmm.
on the left and right hand side for these discounts and feedback widgets. And then one is kind of a subdued black, which I guess aligns with the faux leather. But at the same time, like there's a little bit of opportunity for confusion here. And maybe is this the primary CTA we want people to see versus maybe the discount or the feedback widget? A lot of competing interests here, I would say, as we move down into this section and compare it to where we just came from.
I would also add that generally we want to see lower intent to purchase call to actions at this step of the funnel, right? They're on the homepage, they want to learn more, they want to view details. They're not 100% ready to buy now. And I think that's where it could be a bit of a challenge.
How do you feel about the distribution of the image real estate versus what the product actually is here? Because I was kind of expecting on mouse over to see some kind of overlay with a little bit more
Hmm.
information, like maybe the product name is there, maybe there's a price there, and then add to cart or shop now or something like that, a CTA. But this really is like purely an image with almost like a subtitle, right? Or an image caption here that's letting you know what it is. But that didn't jump out at me. And maybe that's the point.
Hmm.
Maybe that's something they're testing. Maybe that's a hypothesis they have. Like if we put our products front and center, people will explore. But what have you seen on other client sites or elsewhere around the web
Yeah.
that maybe makes this a good or maybe a questionable decision?
I think that it's a good decision in the sense that it's more of a lookbook at this stage. Again, consumers are trying to understand what pain are they solving for me, what products do they have, and really trying to close the sale based off of a photo and a very little bit of information that you could put here is unlikely to happen. So again, a low intent to purchase call to action. I might put a call to action. The thing I would test here is a call to action under each of these items. Also, I don't know that I would do the carousel. We find that in-page navigations like this very rarely get used, right? And so I would want to do some click tracking on that and see how many people are actually clicking through these. I bet the default action is not to do that, but I would not have an add to cart here. I would not even worry about price at this point. I think you're solving a pain, and then you need a chance to talk about the benefits and all of that type of stuff before you jump into trying to close the deal or even talk about price, because then there could be an objection there.
Yep. One thing I'll call out before we move on is I can't really go back in the carousel because of this
Mm.
20% or $20 off badge. I can scroll up or down and make it happen. But if I center this on my page, like I might intuitively when I'm shopping, that's completely gone. And this one is not because it's a little lower. So if there's some kind of logic to kind of align those in the same space, maybe that solves the problem. I'm not sure. But yeah, I found as I was going to go back through the carousel and I intentionally kept it there because I could see that kind of losing somebody's interest, or maybe they go somewhere
Mhm.
else on the page when you wanted them to check out one of these items that they were curious about. So as we move down, it looks like we've got some categories here, and they seem to mirror or map up to the primary navigation for the most part. So I like that kind of consistency, and I like the simple visuals that highlight exactly what we're talking about in red, and everything else is the
Mhm.
subdued kind of outline. So I think from a user experience perspective, this feels intuitive to me, and I would know, based on what I'm looking for, which one of these to click on.
Yeah, we have run a lot of tests with these type of illustrations, and they've always performed well. Baking these even into the navigation, so when you roll over an item and they have navigation, instead of photography, you have illustrations like this baked in. It performs extremely well. Uh, I would almost suggest moving this up and above the block of product images that we just had. So right
Mhm.
there above fan favorite styles. I think that would perform well. It's kind of like for folks who went straight to the featured image and product there, and then we're skipped over the navigation, which we find is actually pretty common. So
Right.
especially when you have graded photography and whatnot like they have there. So
Yeah. One thing I'm noticing as we move down the page is these mega menus, they disappeared. So
Hmm.
as you scroll and it gets turns into the sticky menu, those are gone. I don't know if you might feel that that's a good decision to keep things simple or maybe leaving opportunity on the table because at this point, let's say I see one of these and it kind of inspires me. And so for whatever reason, I hover over the primary navigation, I'm not seeing all of those sub elements anymore.
I'm okay with that in the vein of simplicity. And I truly believe that the goal of a homepage is to help the person get to the next step in the funnel. And that's it. It really is just, am I in the right place? Can they solve? Do I think they can solve my pain? I don't even need to know 100% correct the answer to that yet. I just need to have a thought that they can. And if they can, then I just want to go to that next step as a consumer in the process. And so they're really helping do that. And I believe that's great. I do think the navigation is overwhelming, though. I think we need to eliminate at least 3 of those items, as I talked about earlier. It looks like the herstory did go away.
Hmm.
It's no longer at the end. But again, there's just so many product categories there. It really does get to be a little bit, um, confusing. Like, how do I choose between leggings and clothing and active? Like, leggings and active in our clothing, right? And then if you scroll back up um, to the top, when that nav comes back, yeah, look, it looks like even the categories are changing from there.
Right.
So I find that odd that like the navigation changes too. Right? Is it
I
shops,
think it's
leggings,
shifting to the
clothing,
right
active?
and then active shapewear.
Okay, so they're
I
all
could,
there. It's just
yeah.
yeah, dropping the herstory in exchange for the cart. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I mean, what I've seen on other apparel sites is tops, bottoms, right? And then once you go to bottom, things that you wear like from the waist
hmm
down, then it talks about leggings, denim, the different types
hmm
of bottom pieces. And so yeah, I could see something like that, and like even combining like this into underwear or some
hmm
outdoor sites will say like your base layer, right? Like that's the thing that goes on the very bottom, and then you layer everything else on top of that. I just feel like there's probably a way to get this down to maybe 5, right? Maybe 5 is a good place coming down from 9 or almost 10.
hmm
So yeah, I agree with that. And
a
then
lot of opportunity to A/B test for sure.
if I pick up where we were, we've got kind of this video background specifically about activewear, which I like. So I'm seeing 2 kind of dedicated campaign based sections on this homepage. The hero section got the seasonal kind of like faux leather. Maybe that's a new product launch, but they said, it's perfect for spring, but the right time to wear it is all year long. And then this is a dedicated section all around activewear. I think I could see why the marketing team would want to have real estate for this, and I don't necessarily dislike it. But based on where it's at in the page, like any reaction to kind of where it's showing up right after these categories?
No, I have no reservations with this. I think that it's a great eye catching. I think if anything, it might distract from the categories that are right above it, because the eye is going to be drawn right to this moving image and less so to the categories. So in that sense, it might be less helpful for the consumer. But I'm not opposed to having a branded kind of category call out on the homepage. I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay, awesome. And I like that they roll it right into some examples from that category. So it's like, okay, shop activewear is kind of a generic CTA. I'm going to take you to the category
Hmm.
page, and you're going to see this big wall of imagery. But here are just a few pieces, and if one of these jumps out at you, you can go straight to that. You can kind of hover through 5 or 6. But I love that these 2 sections were paired together to give
Hmm.
somebody like maybe I don't want to go to that category yet, but when I see one of these, it jumps out at me, and then all of a sudden I am in activewear, and I've taken, to your point, that single next step in my customer journey to get me one step closer to the thing that's going to solve my problem.
Hmm. Yeah, and have as I'm not necessarily a consumer, although I see they have the men's line, but I am I would have never known that they had this breadth of products,
Hmm.
right? And so, as a consumer coming to the site new to file, I'm impressed that they have this large range of products on here, and I think they're doing a good job of communicating that. Right, we're getting the message that there's a lot that they sell now, and it's not just that underlayer that they were originally started for.
I will say I like that they're using these repeatable elements So I think a lot of brands try to be novel in for each
Mm.
category, but we've seen this exact same carousel layout, this exact same like shop active up in the top right corner, same so that kind of consistency, especially if I've already been through this part, like I kind of know
Hmm.
what to expect and how to interact with this section. So I think there's value in that. Just wanted to call that out. And then it looks like these are probably okay. So these, it's interesting because this is a singular product, and I'm guessing this is going to a collection. So I think that's an
Hmm.
interesting choice. What else they have? They have kind of a four up here to talk about like comfort clothes, loungewear maybe. And yeah, it's just interesting
Hmm.
to. This is a departure from that, right? Like this is not another carousel. This is kind of a breaking the pattern kind of layout. But I don't necessarily disagree with it. I do think it's a little weird to have a mixed like single product versus collection. But I don't know that it's necessarily holding them back, right?
Right. I agree. I think that I'm wondering how much more content is on the page is really my question here, because it looks like we might be halfway down the page based on that scroll bar.
Yeah,
Um,
these are pretty
so
big images. So by the time you get to the bottom of
mhm.
this, we're about 70% maybe. Looks like we're about
Okay.
three quarters of the way through. So they're just pretty tall images that take up a lot of that scroll depth.
Yeah, again, I think their goal here is to show the wide range of products that they offer. And I think they've already conveyed that otherwise. So I don't know that this is necessary here. It might be just, you know, what are you basing these on? How do you determine what images show up here? Right. If
Right.
this is personalized based on the ad that they clicked on and how they got to you, then I would agree with it. But I also wonder, I'd want to see a scroll map. How far down the page are people scrolling? I bet that a bunch of people are dropping off by this point. So you might just want to cut to the chase and get to whatever else you need to, and not feature additional products here.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. And that's an important point. I mean, we don't know their business as well as they do, obviously. And so we don't
Mm-hmm.
know if they're driving traffic to these pages and if they have any personalization to it, or if this is more kind of that serendipitous organic SEO kind of inbound, or how familiar somebody maybe is, most of their traffic's repeat buyers and they're already looking for like a specific product or what's new or something like that. So that's important that we don't know that. We're operating under the best information we have available, which isn't all that much. But then we get
Mm-hmm.
down below these kind of four up callouts and we get into, let's see what this is all about. This looks like more activewear messaging, but it looks like maybe it's tying back into some of that her story kind of element,
Mm.
mission oriented copywriting. So I don't know. Again, this at this point, to your point earlier, how many people are getting down this far, and is this starting to feel like a little bit of filler content, right? Just to make it
Yeah.
feel more significant.
But what I do like about this block is I almost want this block to be the one that's all the way at the top of the page, because it focuses on the mission, on why they're a
Mm,
little bit different, right? And instead of just one product, it's saying, hey, we're on a mission to elevate you through every move you make, look good and feel good with the magic of us. I I like that messaging way better than just featuring faux leather as one product, right? Where as a new to file consumer coming in, maybe of not getting the entire message.
yeah. I would expect an organization of this size to be at the point where it's regularly swapping out hero images and to promote a
Mm-hmm.
significant campaign or a seasonality or whatever. Um, to hop on the back of your point, maybe even bring some of this type of imagery in. And I'd love to see like a layout like this, same kind of text and copywriting, but on the right hand side, instead of a single person, show women of all different shapes and sizes and backgrounds. Show some activewear, show some formal wear or whatever else they've got going on. Almost in like I want it to kind of look like a bunch of Instagram pictures in a stream kind of going up the page, you know what I mean? And just show
Mm-hmm.
like we're trying to support women of all types in every area of their life, whether it's going to the gym, going to work, whatever, trying to unwind at the end of the day. I think that would be a better representation of not just the breadth of their product line, but the breadth of their customer base.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, and I think they've done an okay job of that here, right? And I think that this section is something that maybe could even just be moved up the page if you really want to feature multiple products. But when you click on this, it does not take them to Instagram. Is that accurate,
It's
or
it's
does
not
it?
clickable. It's just a
Even better.
cursor. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I like this because I maybe what I would like to see is if you click on this image, it takes you to that product on the site. so that, this is more of like a lookbook, right? Like, oh, I'm interested in that piece of clothing or activewear or whatever. So and there's a big push I'm noticing about for activewear on the site. It must be a new product line, perhaps, or I would think that they're an activewear company based on purely this site, right?
Yeah.
Not really what most of their original consumers would think of them. So maybe that's a strategic change they're trying to make.
Yeah, that could be. And again, one of those things that we just don't quite know.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is good to see. This is more mission oriented type of stuff, and it looks like they've got maybe some dedicated kind of product here. I don't know. I don't know
Hmm.
that we have the time to dig into that. But again, it's like if this truly is part of your mission, why is it buried at the very bottom, just above the footer? You know what I mean? Like I know
Hmm.
you can't give everything the number one spot, but maybe there's a better way to incorporate this, and or maybe it just lives on and you have a dedicated ad campaign pointing to a specific landing page, that has a little bit more room to house
Hmm.
something so significant.
I would agree with that. Um, and I like that they call out the free shipping and returns again. If folks who have gotten this far down on your page, they're obviously interested in what you have to say, right? So I'm always a fan of having that one last call to action, and it performs pretty well typically for folks who do scroll down here. And I like that they just go right into shop bestsellers. Like, hey, if you've seen everything and nothing yet has enticed you to click through enough, but you're still interested in our brand and what we have, just look at our bestsellers. I think that's a great last catch here and call to action. I do have some feedback on the footer. I like how on the bottom right hand corner they immediately go to have questions. That is where people are going to need support, or where they're going to want support, right? Is to scroll all the way down to the bottom right hand corner and look at that in the footer. That's what they're going to do. I would like to see maybe an email address for support, a phone number. SPANX is big enough; they should have a phone number for support. So I would like to just see that clearly here. It seems to me like they might be driving them through some type of ticketing system or something, but which is fine. But I think the consumers, the trust level for a new consumer coming to the site, when they scroll down here and they see ways to reach out to a brand, even a physical address can really be, it's the trifecta of that email, phone number, and physical address. The trust level just skyrockets. And then one other thing is, always want to see the first thing on the footer on the left hand side is the category navigation repeated. Yes, they have the sticky nav, so it's a less of an issue, but it's still something where, again, consumers who come all the way down here, and often what we see in user testing is folks just immediately scroll down to the bottom to see all those categories, as a means of just helping them take that next step. So I would definitely put on the far left the category nav stacked in a column. Then on the far right, add a little bit more information around contact. The About SPANX column is great. Email sign up, it says be the first to know about new products, promos, and exclusive sales, but you're missing how often are you going to email them? And the little privacy statement would go a long way. So just underneath the email field, just say something like, we respect your privacy. We'll never sell your email address. Something similar to that will go a long way, but also set the expectation around how often you're going to get in touch with them. Folks just want to know. And if you're upfront about it, you will see your conversion on this form go up.
My first reaction to this was for a website or a store that has such a significant primary navigation. The footer navigation is pretty barren, right? Pretty minimal. And at minimum, I think getting those category and those shopping links down here, like you mentioned, would be something that is probably going to drive at least a few additional sales, or at least get somebody further into your funnel before they bounce. And the one thing I was going to call out about the email subscription form is that this is pretty basic, but it's on the
Mhm.
nose, and it says exactly what to expect, which I think a lot of brands still don't get right. They say like join our newsletter and that's it, or they say join our tribe, become part of our family, whatever, and like nobody really knows what that means. But at least SPANX is coming up front and saying you're going to be the first to know, which is compelling, about products,
Mhm.
promos, and sales. So I know I'm not getting a journal or some kind of like personal development type of content. I'm really here to be sold to and to see all your marketing activity and hear about new products early. So as long as you set that expectation, like I think people are the people that subscribe know what they're getting into, and they're going to be
Mhm.
okay with that. So yeah, I'd just say good job there. Anything else? I think this was a pretty robust homepage, and of course, like we could spend the rest of the weekend going through all the individual category and product pages. But any parting words for Spanx as we wrap things up here and get this over to them and see if it could be helpful for them?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that on this page that we've talked about today that are done well, and I think there's a lot of things we could test, and I think that's the key. As I understand, there is a role there that that we both met on DTC Fam Slack this week, and she is running tests on these things. So obviously, there's more data than we have today, but I will say there's a lot of stuff on this that, based on our decade plus of experience, I would definitely want to run some testing on. So, all in all, I think it's looking great. I think there's some opportunity to improve, as there is with every site. And so it's great to see. And I appreciate you walking through this with me.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. And John, thanks for your time today. We'll look forward to doing another one of these with you real soon.
All right. Looking forward to it.